Welcome everyone. Today we're going to learn about the shape of Texas. Texas is not only big and diverse, but also has a unique shape that people recognize. Think about all the objects made in the shape of Texas. There are belt buckles, serving dishes, and charms. You can even find macaroni in the shape of Texas. How did Texas get its shape? Look at the map and you will see borders formed by rivers. These borders curve and bend. Another border formed by water is the coastline along the Gulf of Mexico. It has bays, inlets, and islands. Now look at the borders that are straight lines. Sometimes people use rivers or other physical features as borders, and other times they decide that a straight line is a good border. Use the pictures and map below, so here to the side, to take a tour of Texas's borders. Start at the highest point in Texas, Guadalupe Peak, here in the west. Follow the border of Texas, going east until you reach Lake Texoma. Start at Guadalupe Peak, go east, follow the border north, east again, south, and east one more time until we get to Lake Texoma. Texoma is named for its location in Texas and Oklahoma. It's on the border between both states. Along the border formed by the Gulf of Mexico, we can see the big shipping port of Galveston. It's right here, south and east of Houston. Then we can relax on Padre Island. It's down here almost at the southern tip of Texas on the Gulf of Mexico. Finally, visit the border with Mexico formed by the Rio Grande in Big Bend National Park. Here's the Rio Grande, and there is Big Bend National Park, named because it sits in the bend in Texas. So we were talking about rivers and the Gulf of Mexico and how they form part of the natural borders of Texas. Now we're going to talk about water itself and how it plays a part in Texas and what goes on here. In Texas, water comes from different sources. There is groundwater and surface water. Groundwater is located below the surface, out of sight. The water you see, such as lakes and rivers, is called surface water. Wherever water comes from, people need it for farming, ranching, and industry. We even use it for transportation. Boats can move people and goods easily on water. That is one reason early Texans chose to live by waterways. They especially looked for river valleys. Early Texans knew that floods made river valleys fertile, and that is good for growing crops. Many rivers flow across Texas from higher lands in the west to the Mississippi River or the Gulf of Mexico. Springs are another source of surface water. A spring is a place where groundwater comes to the surface. Many Texans use water from springs. There are places in Texas that are dry, such as West Texas. Where do farmers in these areas get the water their crops need? Underground. Large amounts of water are held in the spaces in between the underground rock formations. One of the largest, the Ogallala Aquifer, begins under the surface of West Texas and stretches north to South Dakota. All across Texas, water from aquifers is pumped up and used by agriculture, industry, and homes like yours. Pumping groundwater to the surface changes the land, making it more useful. Here in this diagram we see, here's all of this groundwater, which is everything beneath the ground that we can't see. Here's an example of a spring where the groundwater found a way up to the surface. And here are our examples of surface water. We got lakes, rivers, and tomorrow we'll look at this type of area called a wetland or a swamp.